we've come to the end of the loop. Looks like a blink of an eye's not enough. She'd rather be seen for days now. I'd rather be seen than the She'd rather burn it all now. I know it will end up in anger. I don't think we grew up, we just became older.